There's my team from Desert Storm, Bob Adams and Scott Stump. These gentlemen and their team have been battling on the Capitol trying to get our site located, and we thought we had her done. We were at a hearing, and what's the organization we're having trouble right now with?
Commission of Fine Arts.
Commission of Fine Arts. And we sat there and said our piece, and we thought we were in good shape for the location of this memorial. But I'll let Scott do the talking on it, and Bob.
Thank you, sir. There is a clicker right there. Green button goes for this one. Okay. Are we up and running? Okay. Well, guess the slides aren't working. Good morning, everybody. Thank you very much for having us. Thank you for Harold. Thank you for cutting out the time for us here. We really appreciate it. We're trying not to waste any of your time. I am going to introduce our CEO and founder, one of the primary individuals that has gotten us where we're currently at, and his name is Scott Stump, and I'm going to turn it back over to him and let him give you an update on where we're at.
Good morning. Good morning. Commander Chapman. Incoming Commander Polk, sorry, almost officers and my fellow AMVETS. It's an honor to stand here before you today, and you just heard from Bob Adams. And Bob is a Navy veteran. He's our vice president. And he's always very quick to remind me that, and I served in the Marine Corps, he's very quick to remind me, hoorah. He's very quick to remind me that the Marine Corps is part of the Department of the Navy. Amen. Now, I'm equally as quick to remind him that we are part of the Navy, a Department of the Navy, but we're the men's department. So. There is no way I could leave Norfolk without getting a Navy joke in there, and I just want to preface that by saying that my family is a Navy family. My dad was in Korea in the Navy and had several uncles in World War II, so I think I could maybe get away with that, and if not, maybe I'll take some lumps on the way out.
Oh, you will.
But it is an honor here to talk with you today. Let me say a few statements and see if these bring back any memories. America is not up to the fight. We're past our prime. We're all volunteers. There's no way we can compete with a battle-hardened enemy after 8 years of war. Our equipment is inferior. There's no way that it's going to be able to keep pace. We're going to lose tens of thousands of people. This is going to be another Vietnam. It's going to go on and on and on. Does anybody remember hearing those comments 27 years ago? It's been 27 years now. But those comments were made by the experts in the media. And they made predictions that after a man that most of us had never heard of invaded a country that most of us couldn't find on a map, and of course I'm talking about Saddam Hussein invading the peaceful country of Kuwait on August 2nd of 1990. Thank goodness those dire predictions didn't come true. Didn't even close to becoming fulfilled. And in fact, Operation Desert Storm remains one of the most overwhelmingly successful military operations in our country's history. But here 27 years later, sadly, many Americans put it into one of two categories when they remember Operation Desert Storm. Oh, it was that video game war that was over with before it even started, and nobody died. Or it was part one to all of the actions that were after it in Afghanistan and Iraq as a result of 9/11. Both of those assumptions are entirely false, and they're not right. Unfortunately, that's where we are today. Operation Desert Storm and all who served occupy a very special place in history that should be remembered. And there are many reasons for this memorial that you heard the commander talking about. But I just want to focus on just several of the top ones very briefly here over the next couple of minutes here and see if these bring back any memories for you. First and foremost, we liberated a country, Kuwait. And I know what some of you are thinking. I know it. Well, that's kind of nice, Scott, but what does that have to do with us? Is it really that important? Yes, it really was that important. And if anybody doesn't think so, please get with me at the back of the room at the end of this presentation. I'll put you in touch with a good friend of mine, a young man by the name of Suleiman El-Badr, and he works at the Embassy of Kuwait up in Washington, D.C. And Suleiman has the distinction of having 2 birth certificates from 2 different countries. Can anybody else in the room make that claim? I know I can't. One says he was born in Iraq. The other says he was born in Kuwait. It was a big deal. And we not only changed the future course of history in Kuwait and the Middle East, we changed it in the world. America was back in business, and we did what was right. Secondly, the way that Kuwait was liberated is every bit just amazing in and of itself. Think about it. We, the United States, assembled and led a coalition of 34 countries from 5 continents and came together and did as President Bush said, did what was right, we did what was just, we did what was moral, expecting nothing in return. And if anybody doesn't think that that was a big deal, I challenge you to look at today's environment. We can't even get 34 states to agree with one another, let alone come together and actually accomplish something on this magnitude. It was a remarkable time in history. Operation Desert Storm was also a major and important turning point in our country's history. You see, our citizens finally came to the realization what a tragic mistake it was to have treated our Vietnam veterans the way that they were treated, and that could never, ever happen again. And I sincerely hope that none of you in this room had to endure that yourselves, and if you do, my thoughts are with you. It never should have happened, but I believe without a shadow of a doubt, if we didn't learn those lessons back in 1991, our men and women who have been serving since 2001, I don't think they would be treated with the level of dignity and respect that they absolutely deserve if it weren't for those lessons learned. It changed the way that the military is looked at and perceived. That was the turning point. And folks, nobody came up to you. Yes, thank you. Nobody came up to you in the airports in an airport in the late 80s saying thank you for your service. It didn't happen. It really did change the whole way that the military is treated. And the last thing I want to say about the Vietnam connection, and there are many, but a lot of people will tell me, not a lot, but several people have said to me, well, Scott, you know, the reason why Operation Desert Storm was such a rapid and overwhelming success is because the Iraqis were so bad. Really? Has anybody heard of ISIS? They weren't that bad. We were that good. And do you know why we were that good? It's because all of our leaders were Vietnam veterans. And they were not going to let what happened to them the first time happen to us. I give them all the credit for my being able to stand here before you as a former Marine Corps infantryman. And if you would indulge me, I'd like to have, are there some Vietnam veterans in the house? Would you all mind standing up? I'd like to give you all a round of applause. Thank you. Thank you for your service. And last but not least, we had over 600,000 men and women answer the call, just like generations prior to them and since them, that answered that call to serve. Of those 600,000, we had close to 400 who made that ultimate sacrifice. Now, I believe that that sacrifice is the same one that was made since the beginning of our country's founding, and that it's just as important. And we feel that it's important to make sure that that service and that sacrifice is never forgotten, and that I'm challenging you all. I hope that you all believe in it and would join us to make sure that Operation Desert Storm and all who served will take its rightful place among the other memorials up in Washington, D.C., in its rightful place in history and remembrance. Now, where are we in this process? And the commander had alluded to, and I just want to thank you, Commander, for number one, for naming us your commander's project. And secondly, this gentleman took time out of his schedule to come and testify in front of I hope that I don't offend anybody here, but it's the B word, in front of a bunch of bureaucrats up in Washington. And he not only did all of us proud as AMVET members, but as veterans, he did us proud. He went up and he testified into the significance of why this memorial needs to be located where it needs to be. So thank you, Mr. Commander, for that. And I'll get to that here in just a second as I'm wrapping up. But this started 7 years ago. And I think Commander Chapman is absolutely correct. He alluded to this as a battle. I would be fibbing to you pretty badly if I said this has been a lot of fun, and it's it isn't about being fun. It's about doing the right thing. It's been a very long, hard slog through this entire process. But I'm happy to tell you that in 2014, May 28th, we had a vote in the House of Representatives authorizing the construction of the memorial. It passed by a vote of 370 to 0. So they did get that right. We got to hand it to them for that. And then later on in the year, in December of 2014, it was signed into law authorizing the construction of the memorial on federal land in Washington through 100% private funding. So since then, we've been working diligently and feverishly to identify the ultimate location for this memorial to be placed. And I'm happy to report to you that at this point, we have narrowed it down to the final 2 possible locations. Our preferred location, which is at 23rd and Constitution, is very close to the Lincoln Memorial, and it's 2 slots over from the Vietnam Veterans Memorial. A lot of the senior leadership I've talked to, General Fred Franks, they're adamant this needs to be very close to Vietnam because of that connectivity that I had just mentioned to you all. So we're very hopeful. We've had that's where it's going to ultimately be. At the end of the day, as mentioned, we are right on the cusp of getting this done. Our goal is to have this completed sometime in 2020. However, our fallback plan would be to have it completed sometime in the beginning of 2021, which would coincide with the 30th anniversary. 30th? No, there's no way. I'm not that old.
Yeah, you are.
Okay. 30th anniversary of Operation Desert Storm. So those are the dates. The most recent cost estimate that we've had is right in the $25 million range, which if you take a look at the other memorials here recently, very, very modest. The folks that have been working on this from a design standpoint, they call this profound simplicity. We're delivering a very profound and important message, but we're doing it in a very simplistic way. It's not over the top. It's not gaudy because it doesn't have to. So I would just, again, thank you for all of you that have supported this. We absolutely, positively thank you so much from the bottom of our hearts. This is a 100% volunteer organization. So, none of us want to be lobbyists in Washington, D.C. Nobody wants to have an office. When we build this memorial, we're going to be done. We're leaving. It's over. So I always like to joke, we want to be the Desert Storm of memorials. We want to get in, we want to get it done, and we want to get out of town. So I'm very proud of our folks. These volunteers were geographically dispersed, which makes it a little bit tougher even yet because a lot of the stuff we're doing is over the phone, and when we do get in person, we, so often... it does make it a little bit of a challenge. But again, any of you who have not been a part of this, we invite you to be a part of this. Bob will talk a little further on that, but we would be honored to have you join us. And again, thank you, Commander Chapman, Commander Polk, for your support, and all of you who have believed in this because, as mentioned, this is AMVETS. We're all American veterans. We're not American Vietnam veterans. We're not American Desert Storm veterans. We're not American World War II veterans. We're all in the same family. And I just invite you to join our family as we do what's right at this point. Thank you so much. Really appreciate your attention. God bless you all.
Thank you, Scott. And just want to reiterate, I personally was raised by Vietnam vets. My 2 company commanders in boot camp were Vietnam vets. And, of course, the leadership that led us through successfully through the war was Vietnam vets. So my entire raising was at the hands of Vietnam veterans. So my whole life, I have been at the feet of watching that develop and grow. So, again, I thank you all. And moving on to our current support and news. You see up there on the screen, we have a handful of VSOs, yourselves included, that stepped forward to assist us. We have initiated a Texas School Challenge, and we have continuing bringing on more and more groups of individuals who are wanting to help us raise funds. AMVETS Project, Commanders Project 2017, a lot of you have already got involved. You guys have started donating money. However, we were talking to a lot of you last couple days. Many posts haven't yet really heard the word yet. So I'm going to ask each and every individual in here, fellow veterans, go back to your communities, go back to your posts. Please share the information we have. We have plenty of it. We'll be happy to mail you or send you any info that you can. Help us spread the awareness. Help us reach out to their fellow Desert Storm veterans. Let them know what's going on. Let the Gold Star family members in your area, let them know what's going on. Reach out to your companies and your corporations and say, hey, here's a veterans organization that needs your help. We want you to back it. Have them reach out to us. Every one of you can help us in that manner. You can also help us by going back to your posts and arranging spaghetti dinners, once a month bingos. You know, anything that you guys can do to help with the Commanders Project. We really need your help. Spread the word, contact your media, volunteer locally. You can become a state or regional coordinator. You can focus on corporate outreach if you would like, or you could just be a personal outreach. To wrap it up, folks, thank you so very much for the support that you guys have shown so far, and we're looking forward to continuing next year under Marion's Commander Project. Thank you very much.
Microphone 1, Commander, Department of Alaska would like to present a check for $500 to your organization.
Thank you so much. Well, hopefully we'll see more of that. Thank you. The organization, we had a little trouble with communication, but it is on our website. As soon as you open, you've seen that.
Yes, sir.
You know, the picture of the Desert Storm, what it's going to look like. But our communication's got to get better, and you're right. So we're going to work on that.
Absolutely, sir. Okay. We're here to work with you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Yep,
and
thank you so much.
That was given by so many of these people out here, and we put it together. So
thank you.
Hopefully we'll continue to let it grow.
Oh,
okay?
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Thank you for your time.
Proud to be an AMVET too.
Commander, microphone 1.
Yes.
Dana Dillon, District 1, Connecticut. We have the green screen room going at District 1. So far we've raised over $140 towards your national project, and we'll be open tonight to do more green screen. So everybody please come up. Half the money raised goes to your project, and I'll be presenting that tomorrow with the total count.
Thank you so much, Dana.
Thank you.